This is WOMMLP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. It's the Rocket Shop. Good evening. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me tonight is Troy Millette. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you so much for coming in the studio today.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I was just telling Ross and Jim, I feel like I've been here more in the last month than I have anywhere else, so it's like a second home. My dog was sleeping in here the last time I was here, so, it's really home now.
Yeah. If your dog feels comfortable in a place, then you...
I mean, I'd only had him for like 24 hours when he was here, so he wasn't like a great judge of character, but I think he would like it still.
Well, thank you for coming back to your second home to be interviewed this evening. We do like kicking off with a song usually, so what have you got for us?
I'm going to play the title track off our record, which is coming out hopefully later this year, but, with COVID, you never know what the timeline's going to be. It's called Things We Whisper After Dark.
Best days, that crooked little smile and a sun-kissed face, in the seat beside me when I lost control, in every red light on our drive home, tapping on the brakes and leaning the seats back. Wish that I could tell you what I'm thinking, how nothing on this earth compares to you. Down every road I've taken, you're the hand that pulls me through. No, it's true. No, it's true. Dream of my lips on your skin, getting one more chance to make things right again. Give me one more night to mess things up again. Wish that I could tell you what I'm thinking, nothing on this earth compares to you. Down every road I've taken, you're the hand that pulls me through. No, it's true. No, it's after dark, when your eyes get heavy, yeah, they lose their spark. You ask me who I think you are, I don't know. Damn, the words sounded pretty, but they missed their mark. Yeah, the words sounded perfect, but they missed their mark. Tell me what you're thinking. I've never known someone so pure and true. Down any road I'll travel, wanna take that ride with you. No, it's true. You pull me through.
Troy Millette there with. Sorry, could you remind me of the song name again?
Yeah, it's Things We Whisper After Dark.
Things You Whisper After Dark.
We're going for length in those song titles. Second record, we got to up our game from that one word
Right.
thing.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about this new record that you're currently writing. Have you got the songs together yet?
Yeah,
Where
I think
we at with
it's totally done being written, but I said that 6 months ago, and then the coronavirus hit, and I had a lot of time to sit in my room and write songs. So we've been working somewhat diligently with Chris Hawthorne from Barica. It's if I could roll my R's, that band name sounds so cool. And Ezra Oakland has played drums on some tracks, and Jay Barclay, who was in the band Augustana, he did the guitar work, and Dan Bishop is on bass, and we just kind of have moshed all that stuff together and kind of have this folk rock pop thing going on. We released a pop single through the quarantine that doesn't have any real instruments on it, but so we're in the process of like vetting all the stuff we have now and figuring out which are the 10 or 12 that are really worth pushing forward.
And is this under the name Troy Millette, or is this as a separate kind of band with a different name?
Yeah, this is gonna fall under the Troy Millette umbrella, I think. When I started the Fire Below, the kind of intent was that we wanted to move out of the dinner set times. It's really hard to do as a chubby folk singer with a guitar, living in Manfolkville over here. So what we had to do is we'll put a band together. But it's really hard to find guys who aren't in 50 bands in Burlington. So we're like, we'll just hire whoever's available, and we'll never turn down a gig because we can just, it's like painting by numbers. It's just like as long as we have a red, we can fill in all these fives. It doesn't need to be this red. And it's kind of come to a place where we have the same 4 or 5 guys who play with us all the time. But, it's a branding nightmare to then go back to the other stuff and switch it to this. So unless I come up with a really cool name, I think I'll stick with the one my mama gave me.
Yeah, I've talked to folks in the past where it takes a long time to build up your reputation and have people start recognizing you and knowing what they're going to be hearing when Troy Millette's playing, and so then to switch it up and change the name.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're kind of lucky with the, I think I like to tell the guys in the band that my name is in the band name, so I get to make all the important decisions, which is, I shouldn't be allowed to, but I like to tell them that. And it's a nice branding umbrella that when I play solo, it's like, oh, it's still that part of that band name, so it's not trying to get too many things out there. I don't have the energy to get that many things out there. I've worked, the little I've done to get this name out there is like, it's already exhausting. I'm tired thinking about it.
And so you do solo gigs. You also play with a band. What are your pros and cons of both? What do you really like as a solo artist, and what do you prefer as a band member or the leader of a band, and kind of vice versa?
Yeah, I love playing with the band just for that sense of camaraderie when you're on stage. To feel like you have this like army behind you, and the energy they bring to these songs. When I write a song like Things We Whisper After Dark in my bedroom, that's the song to me. I'm like, it's the best thing ever, and I am Leonard Cohen, and this is what this song needs to be. And that is 99% of the time not the case. So to bring this to, 4 other brains and let them kind of have their way with it, even if it ends up kind of being carved down back to closer to the original vision, just to hear what they come up with has been awesome. And the live show, we never play the same set twice. We kind of get up there and we like to do the ins and outs and throw in the quirky covers. I would say that's the thing I miss the most about playing solo when I'm not, is that it's really easy for me to strum C, D, and E and tell a 15-minute story in the middle of our set, and that's really hard to get 4 guys on the same page who want to do that for, 20 of your 75-minute set. But I have some great Jackson Browne stories and my Mike Gordon story, and I need to tell those. Until my autobiography comes out in like 40 years, that's the only way to get them out.
So being a solo artist does afford you that ability to wax poetic on it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tales.
It's my Springsteen on Broadway. Only it's way cheaper to get in, usually free. So Bruce would, if Bruce could let you in for free, he would. He's that kind of guy.
And so I read that you have an on-stage persona.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to tell me a little bit about that? Are you performing as that persona right now, or have we got the OG Troy?
I think the persona is just me, but louder. I think giving me a microphone is the most dangerous thing anyone can do, and people now pay me to do that, which is like, I feel like I'm getting away with something when I walk in somewhere and they're like, oh, I get to be this, but louder. Like, all right, man, it's your $500. Like, let's do it. So I don't know if I'd call it a persona so much as an amplification of what you would get if you sat in my living room, which you are getting right now in the second living room.
So the persona doesn't have a different name or anything like that. It's just kind of like you, but more so because you have an audience. And
Yeah, the second persona was Elton John, but I heard some other guys already taken that. So no, it's still just Troy.
And as you said, while you're on stage, you like telling these tales. What is it about folk music that kind of attracts a storyteller?
I think the story is the attraction itself. I think that everybody kind of has something they want to say and wishes they could say. I write all my songs about girls that I got so efficient with. I didn't even have to talk to these women before I wrote these sad songs about them. I just imagined what it would be like when I messed it up. So I have notebooks and notebooks full of those that I was just like, well, I need to get these thoughts out somehow. And then when the real ones stroll along, it's like, well, now we've really got the record. These are the albums right here. So I think that for me, it's just a matter of like getting that stuff out there without talking someone's ear off, or, getting my friends to look at their caller ID and see my name and be like, I'm going to let this one go. So I think it's for my sanity and everybody else's that it's my version of journaling.
Yeah. But folk music has a long history of churning out storytellers after storytellers. So what is it about the folk as a genre that keeps bringing storytellers in?
I think it's the simplicity. For me, I was an English major at St. Mike's, and I learned how to play guitar in high school because I couldn't draw stick figure, so I couldn't take Art 200. I had to stop at Art 101. And I was like, hey, I can play these 6 chords, and if I could play these 6 and have something important to say, maybe I could get away with it. And I think that after a while of getting away with it, people find something really important to say. I mean, you look at the greats. For me, Adam Duritz of the Counting Crows is like my favorite songwriter. I won't get into who the best songwriter ever is, but those songs, him on a piano, I think, or him on an acoustic guitar, stand up the best, even among those iconic recordings. So I think if you can do something genuinely and have something to say, that folk lends itself perfectly to you. And
what is your how do you kind of come up with these stories that you kind of already mentioned that you originally came up with just ideas in your head, stories that you kind of told yourself and you wrote down in books, and now it's a bit more lived experience. But in terms of your actual process, what do you do in order to get into that mindset? Or is it kind of just a constant thing? If you got a notepad in your pocket that you're constantly scribbling lyrics down in?
Yeah, I'm constantly writing. My phone, the note section of my phone is a jumbled mess of grocery lists and song lyrics. And I'm kind of an OCD, a chaotic OCD person with that, because I have to write them down, even if they live in the notes section of my phone for a while. But I'm the person who will be, wandering through the grocery store, driving home from work, and something will pop into my head, and I'll be like, oh, that's that feeling I had, and I got to sit down and carve this out right now. So yeah, I would say my process kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's really intentional, and I haven't written anything in 3 months, and I need to sit down and put the work in and get something out. And other times it's a flood, and it's just me sitting there ferociously scribbling everything down.
Well, I'd love to hear another track.
Yeah.
So is this going to be from the upcoming album as well?
Yeah, this is a newer song. This is a quarantine song. It's called By My Side. I had a really interesting life experience between the first record, which was all the bro, early college, late college stuff, those imaginary girl songs, into I had my first serious relationship, and I kind of wrote this collection of songs about that, and then that ended, and now we're kind of coming into the period of songs. That's a really nice arc of, what could have been and what isn't, and so this is one of the sad kind of later B-side tracks, I would say. It's called By My Side.
I've been waking up early, dry thoughts and empty sheets, buzzing in my head. Last night's shoes still on my feet. I'd be lying if I said I don't miss you just the same. There's a murder in my bed this morning. We both share a name. Nobody loves me like you love me. Nobody's even tried to try get along, getting drunk and writing songs, and that's just fine. When I close my eyes, it's like you're right here by my side. Last night's conversation is this morning's regret. Been trying to change your mind, it hasn't happened yet. Nothing lasts forever, and every other trope. Can we go back to December, try to regain some control? Nobody loves me like you love me. Nobody even tries to try. I get along, getting drunk and writing songs, and that's just fine. When I close my eyes, it's like you're right here by my side. Said forever, and I meant it. I spent a year inside your storm, but the eye of the hurricane collapses on our brighter days like that, and they're gone like that. No one will love you like I loved you. Did not always get it right, despite all these things that I do. Guess I always thought that we were fine. Wish that you were right here by my side.
Troy Millette there with By My Side. So Troy, tell us a little bit about your COVID experience. We've just come up on about the year anniversary of the pandemic, and I feel like every musician has had like a slightly different, but all of them very similar experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me how have you coped with it as a musician, and has it helped your creativity? Is it stymied it? What's been the story?
Yeah, the first few months I didn't do anything. I kind of had that potato chip mindset. I think that everybody did. That was like, this is gonna pass, and I'm just gonna enjoy this downtime. We had a tour booked for the beginning of April that got scrapped pretty early on. Yeah, we played the game of pushing those dates back 3-4 months, and then we're gonna push them back again another couple months, and eventually we just kind of threw those up into the ether, and we're waiting till we have a good foresight on where we're heading with this. But I've got to put out a couple singles over the pandemic, which I don't think I would have this early on if we hadn't stopped the world for a little bit. I wrote this song, I Miss You, about that relationship coming to an end that I was talking about. And there's some very specific COVID references in that hopefully will stand the test of time as we move forward with this. And I think it just was a nice moment to pause, even though none of us wanted to pause. And we were lucky to get to do some socially distant shows and mask up and do the live stream thing, Robot Dog Studio. That's my third home, is Robot Dog Studio. We must have done 10 live streams with them, especially early on in the pandemic, just trying to stay relevant, stay in front of people. And I'm hoping that the support and the folks who enjoy live music are still there when things open back up. So it was kind of a bittersweet experience. I think that to have the time to write and, grow as a band and do those live stream video type things that we would have never done if we could just crowd ourselves into bars every night. But also I miss crowding ourselves into bars every single night.
Yeah, and so you've been touring for a long time, or at least been working as a musician since 2010.
Yeah.
Played with a ton of different people, some very big Vermont names, some very big names in general, but some absolute legends from Vermont. What is it about being on stage and performing to a crowd, what is that you miss, and what you're looking forward to as this comes to an end? What's like the venue you want to play in first? What's the
All of them. I want to play in all of them. We were going to go down to New York City and play at the Rockwood Music Hall. We were going to play stage 2 at the Rockwood, which I was super excited that I've seen shows there when in the city, and I was excited about that. And we also had a third Higher Ground headlining show kind of in the on the skyline, so I was excited to do some things like that. We also, and I don't know at this point the rate of this tour, but we were going to get to play with the Avett Brothers and Ringo Starr last summer. Which would have been, just an iconic show for me. I love the Avett Brothers, and our first single, Ghost, was written in the parking lot of an Avett Brothers show. And, of course, Ringo is, he's one of the top 4 Beatles, is what I've been told. So I think I'm really excited to get out this summer for sure and keep people safe and do the pod shows, kind of the drive-in type thing. We've got a couple things lined up. And as soon as we can all crowd back together, I think Higher Ground they can just keep my credit card, I think. I'm going to go to shows. I've been really fortunate with the people I've met through this scene. Burlington's a really special place in that way that people who come out to see music and people who perform music and people who photograph music and talk about music, we all kind of live in this little bubble of, and we take it for granted that you can see Ross or Luke Autry 10 times a week if you try hard enough, and you can see Mike Gordon standing at the bar at Nectar's while you play folk rock, and and I'm definitely not going to take that for granted anymore. When we come back out of this, I'm just going to consume everything I can.
Yeah, I have the impression that there's going to be a bit of a live music explosion in the next few months once we start relaxing things and allowing bars to open again, because I think everyone's just been so starved.
I'm hoping that there's some folks who kind of, we found that there was a large demographic of people who I would never see at a show, but, can log on to Facebook at 8 p.m. on a Thursday and check out this show, for reasons, whether it's the kids or the work schedule or whatever. So I think it made a lot of things accessible to people who might not have otherwise consumed what we were doing. So I'm hoping that some of that translates into people who want to come and experience it face to face. Even if we have to do that I'm not gonna get anybody else's sweat on me for a while. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I bet that's probably just not gonna be good moving forward.
That's true. So in terms of this record coming out, obviously you want to wait until we have the full go ahead before you can start booking shows and whatnot. But have you got a plan to promote it and kind of get it out there?
I think touring is going to be the biggest thing for us. We've kind of dabbled in it. We're like the weekend warrior tours. We'll go out and we'll play 3 back-to-back nights and then send it home. But I think that kind of setting aside a chunk of time and going out there and playing new places is what I want to get most out of this larger body of work. But man, right now, just the thought of putting what goes into creating a record. We had a Kickstarter plan, and that's just one of those things that morally it's like, well, I know what it feels like to be struggling, missing this source of income and being one of the lucky ones who has another source of income. So it's like, do I feel good at night asking for, for this support from people who might not have it to give? And, I think that we've had to shift focus, and we're working on things a lot more methodically, but much slower than we would have without COVID. So I'm not really sure. I think that we'll have to see what world we come back to really tell you what the plan's going to be. But right now, I think touring is everybody's biggest goal. We want to get back out there and cram into the back seat of my Kia and drive to Connecticut to play for 3 people.
Living the dream.
Yes.
So this album was recorded in studios and no kind of home recording done?
No, I Miss You, the little pop song, was made on my iPad with a GarageBand beat, and it was so horrendous that when I sent it to Chris Hawthorne, I was like, hey, what do you think about making this work? He's like, I think we can make it work, but we're not using any of that. So, I've been really fortunate to work with him, and I'm kind of the guy who has all these ideas, and Chris is a very practical thinker. So he's like, okay, well, let's take 40% of that and make it happen, and then we can deal with whatever the other stuff you just said later. So I really need that focus. I think for me, I'm just not tech or sound savvy enough to make anything that I would want to put out and force people to listen to.
Yeah. And in terms of that, is it useful having like a Chris when it comes to this record? Because he's able to be like, no, that's done, whereas you might be more like wanting to tweak and tweak and tweak?
Yeah, I think I have that lead singer or songwriter syndrome sometimes where it's like the newest thing you wrote is the best thing you've ever written. And that wears off. The mileage varies on that pretty quickly. And I think to have someone like Chris who is a friend and supports that creative push, but also is able to take a step back and look at this project and be like, okay, well, you know, we already have 3 songs about this and these 2 lyrically like pack a harder punch. I think that's kind of the vetting process of that has been, again, the band has been huge for that because instead of, you know, 2 lines of defense to make it onto that record, we now have 6. And, you know, everybody at least gets those thoughts out there. And there are definitely things that can be clearer, you know, and I also fall victim to being so close to a project that I know what that meaning is, but it might not translate to anyone else in this room, you know, so to make sure that story is being told and really doing the song that we want to make justice is a really interesting and a really frustrating process. Ryan Clausen and I fight all the time, and it's not just because he's an Eagles fan. We now have actual fights.
Well, we've got to about where we've all got time for, but before I let you play your last song to play us out with, if people want to get in touch, if people want to find out more about any tours coming up, what's the social media, where can people go? Yeah,
so our Instagram and Twitter are at Millette Music, and our Facebook is Troy Millette Music. Facebook, I'm a little older than I would like to admit now. I thought I was that cool young artist in Burlington now, and I see everybody else. I'm like, no, they're the cool young ones, and I should be at home sleeping. So I do the Facebook the most, but we also have a webpage. It's troymillettemusic.com, and everything's updated there. We do have some stuff coming up for the summer, and we're playing 14th Star Brewing Company, which is one of my favorite places to play. And we're doing some duo shows with Dan Rahilly from the full band, and he's just a great guy to be around and really brings those songs to life, gives them a little energy acoustic. So I'm stoked to do some of that stuff, and hopefully we'll be back as a full band soon and melting faces with Metallica covers and James Taylor.
Nice. Good mix. Cool. Well, what have you got to play us out?
Yeah, so I kind of harassed Ross McHale over there to ask his lovely girlfriend Sarah what she wants to hear because she is the ultimate Troy Millette super fan. She has my face tattooed on her thigh. I hope that's not true, but I hope someday it's true. And if I can get my own band logo tattooed on me, Sarah's next in line easily. It's her, Hillary, or Lauren. I don't know. There's 3 fans that actually enjoy what we do. But yeah, and she suggested the song Runaway off our first record, which was kind of a weird sleeper hit during the quarantine. I decided to dedicate some time to just pushing things out to playlist curators. And we got up to 25,000 monthly listeners with this song. And it was really popular in Greenland. And now no one in Greenland likes this song anymore, apparently. But I miss the royalty checks. So this is me running away from the ATM, cashing those checks. The song's called Runaway.
Storm beneath her folded arms and her rib cage might cave in. A thunderous scowl out on the prowl. She is stuck staying in. Old dim town knows what he's all about, breaking it down just for fun. But she had the money, moved to the country, of him and all that he's done. Sometimes you gotta run away. Pack some bags for the getaway. Stack boxes in a brand new basement for you to come listen. Sometimes you gotta run away. Turn your back on it yesterday. Get gone before it all goes wrong and match the price that you pay. When you're sure that there's a better place, yeah. Sometimes you gotta run away. Run away. Well, her pride and joy is a blonde-haired boy. His life sounds just like hers. Raising him up, be humble and tough. That's the life he deserves. And night sometimes wonders if she was right. Deep inside, man, she knows what's best for them both. It's a life of their own. Knows what it's like to be alone. Sometimes you gotta run away. Turn your back on yesterday. Stack boxes in a brand new basement for you to embrace it. Sometimes you gotta run away. Pack some bags for the getaway. Get gone before it all goes wrong, yeah. Match the price that you pay. You're sure that there's a better place, yeah. Sometimes you gotta run away. Run away. Run away. Run away. It's 3 a.m. again. The walls start caving in. Today feels harder than the last one. Put on a brand new face, full of fire, raised from grace. You could win still if you lose some. I'm right there if you need someone to run away, run away, run away. There's a lightning storm beneath her folded arms, a rib cage. Well, it might cave in.
Troy Millette there playing us out with Runaway. Troy, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks so much for chatting. This was great.
No worries. And please, once that record comes out, let us know and we'll get you back in.
Absolutely, we love it. I'm literally gonna be sleeping on this couch soon. I can't wait.
Well, join us next week. We got Lily Seabird coming in. That's going to be a great show. But that's all we have for tonight. This has been 105.9 The Radiator, The Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor, and good night.